Revealed, the touching story of a wealthy family's hidden journey to life-changing discoveries. Alex Harrington sat on the edge of his bed, his heart heavy and his mind racing. The spacious room, adorned with pieces that screamed luxury, suddenly felt like a gilded cage. At 27, he was drowning in expectations forged by his father, a titan of industry whose values were stamped into the very fabric of their sprawling Virginia mansion. Success meant everything: the shiny cars, the expansive estates, the perfectly manicured lawns that whispered of perfection. But now, as he faced the prospect of losing his high-powered job, Alex felt unmoored. Who was he without the title and the accolades? For years, he had chased the shadow of his father's legacy, believing that wealth defined him. But that night, staring at the ceiling, a dawning realization washed over him. He didn't feel like himself anymore. Fueled by confusion, he slipped into his car and drove away from the contours of privilege, crossing into a neighboring working-class neighborhood that he had only seen from a distance. A view he once deemed below him. It was there that he met Maria, a single mother hustling through life with unyielding resolve. In her small, cluttered home, filled with laughter and the smell of home-cooked meals, Alex caught glimpses of a life unchained by wealth. Maria's spirit, a fierce combination of hope and struggle, captivated him. She worked 3 jobs to keep her 2 kids afloat, yet there was a light in her eyes that wealth could never buy. As they shared late-night barbecues and deep kitchen table conversations, he found himself laughing like he hadn't in years, his heart swelling with emotions he thought were lost. But back at the mansion, tension simmered. Alex's father roared about distractions, adamant that mingling with the less fortunate would tarnish the family name. Meanwhile, his mother, longing for warmth in their connections, advocated for compassion, for seeing not just with eyes of privilege. The dinner table became a battlefield, hearts clashing, the weight of tradition and the aching call for connection making every meal feel like a struggle. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tipping point arrived when they discovered a local veteran, a man weathered by battles and life, living on the streets. Initially reluctant, the Harringtons wrestled with their biases. Alex suggested they help the veteran together. The way his father's face darkened in defiance shook him to his core. The family's journey wasn't just about helping a stranger, it was a chance to reconcile the chasms carved in their hearts. As they stepped into this mission, Alex felt a fire igniting within him, a desire to challenge the misconceptions that had haunted his family for too long. The question pulsed in his psyche: is wealth truly measured by the comfort of your home, or the closeness of your heart? Would the Harringtons rise to the occasion, or stay shackled to their fears? In the midst of this, as the veteran's fate hung in the balance, Alex knew one thing for sure: the journey embarked upon was one he never could have anticipated. The next day, Alex found himself restless. Sunlight poured through the grand windows of the mansion, illuminating the lavish space. But the inviting glow only amplified his sense of suffocation. He dressed mechanically, each button fastened affirming expectations he could no longer endure. As his father's car roared to life in the driveway, Alex's heart raced, torn between loyalty and longing. "Are you coming to the community center with us today?" his mother asked gently, her hope lingering in the air like the scent of freshly brewed coffee. "I need to think," he replied, each word heavy with unspoken truths. His mother's face fell, but he couldn't dwell on that. He needed clarity, and the life he stumbled upon with Maria painted vivid images in his mind. Driving in the opposite direction of the mansion, he felt the tightness in his chest loosen. He pulled up outside Maria's home, where the laughter of her children echoed in the warm afternoon. The door swung wide open, and her smile wrapped around him like a comforting embrace. "Alex. I'm so glad you're here," she beamed, wiping her hands on a dish towel, the lingering traces of flour dusting her cheeks. "Thought I'd stop by. How are things?" he asked, sinking into the familiar rhythm of their connection. Been hectic with work, as usual, but we're managing, Maria said, motioning for him to join her on the porch. The sight of her makeshift garden, sprouting with a mishmash of herbs and vegetables, stirred something within him. What if I help you through this? I mean, is there anything you need? The word surprised him. A part of him had expected her to reject the notion, simply because he was from a different world. Maria paused, the warmth in her eyes flickering for a moment. You really want to help? I do. He hesitated, I think I need to. A grin transformed her face. In that case, we could use a little help organizing a fundraiser at the community center next week. You know, for the veteran. It could really make a difference. His heart raced at the idea. Count me in. And just like that, the fire within him blazed brighter. The thought of sharing his resources, his time, those values their family had always regarded as untouchable, felt liberating. If he could help someone else find hope, maybe he, too, could find a piece of himself in the process. As days slipped into one another, the buzz of preparations heightened. Alex found joy in working with Maria and the kids, the pressure of his family's expectations slowly lifting. The community center transformed into a space of laughter and purpose, walls adorned with colorful posters created by local artists and young kids. But back home, shadows loomed. The simmering tension between Alex and his father escalated, each confrontation laced with icy barbs. You need to remember who you are, his father barked one evening, the opulence of their life overshadowing the warmth he longed for. With every encounter, Alex's resolve hardened. There was a choice before him: cling to the legacy of wealth and status or forge his own path of compassion and connection. The night of the fundraiser arrived, and excitement surged through his veins. In the community center, Alex stood side by side with Maria, mingling with faces that offered smiles, gratitude, and stories that pierced through the gloss of his previous life. As the crowd gathered, something shifted in the atmosphere, a palpable sense of unity. In that moment, all was silent as Alex took the mic, heart racing, words tumbling out with a fervor he didn't know he had. This was at a turning point not just for the community, but for him. Just as he began to speak from the heart, a familiar figure slipped through the door, his father's imposing presence fabricating an uninvited tension. The entire room turned, a collective inhalation. What would the patriarch do now that his son was edging into a world he long dismissed? Would he turn away in outrage or step forward in understanding? Alex's breath hitched, anticipation thick in the air, unsure of the voice that would cut through the gathering. Storm. Alex's heart raced in his chest, a war of emotions swirling inside him. The event, which had sparked a flame of joy and purpose, now cast a shadow darker than he ever anticipated. His father's presence loomed over him, a stark reminder of the life he was trying to break free from. The crowd shifted uneasily, whispers curling through the air like smoke. Alex could feel their curiosity, their disbelief. He cleared his throat, unsure if he should address the elephant in the room or push through with his speech. But the words he had rehearsed in front of his mirror now felt like smoke in his lungs, heavy and hard to express. Thank you for being here tonight, he stammered, feeling the weight of his father's stare. We're here to support a cause that reminds us all of life's fragility and the strength of our community. We're hoping to make a difference together. Maria squeezed his hand, grounding him, and in that moment, he found the courage to look over at his father. The older man stood rigid, arms crossed and jaw clenched, but something in his eyes flickered an uncertainty he had never seen before. I know my family has always valued material success, but I believe there's a different kind of wealth we can pursue, Alex continued, his voice gaining strength. Real wealth lies in our connections, our shared experiences. It lies in the compassion we show for each other. He could see murmurs of agreement ripple through the crowd. Faces lit up with understanding. A woman in the front nodded, her eyes glistening with tears. Alex pushed on, emboldened by the energy surrounding him. Each of us has a story. Each of us has faced challenges. And together, we can uplift those who need it most, those who might not have the same privileges that many of us do. His father shifted, a flicker of discomfort crossing his features. It was his moment of vulnerability, the cracks beginning to show in the armor he had worn all his life. Suddenly, Alex felt a pulse of hope, and just as he thought he might catch a glimpse of understanding in his father's eyes, the moment was shattered. "Alex!" A voice thundered through the community center like a clap of thunder, piercing the moment. A figure burst forward: Leo, one of his father's business associates, an unexpected distraction. "This isn't the place for these discussions. You need to remember your intentions here." The tension exploded, the laughter and chatter quieting to a murmur of shock. Alex felt the heat rise in his cheeks, a mix of anger and humiliation washing over him. And what if my intentions are exactly where they need to be? He shot back, feeling adrenaline rush through him. The atmosphere shifted again, everyone's gaze now alternating between Alex and his father. Would he choose to step into this new chapter with his son, or would he cling to the old ways, dragging Alex back to the life he was desperate to escape? In the silence that followed, Alex's heart pounded, every second dragging like a breath held too long. Would his father's response condemn him, or could it open a door to understanding? The stakes had never felt so high, a bridge on the edge of collapse, a moment that could either separate or unite them. "Son," his father finally began, an edge of uncertainty in his voice. Was this the turning point that Alex had been searching for, or merely another stone thrown into the river of expectation? With eyes fixed on his father, Alex braced himself for the words that could change everything. Would he finally step up and meet him halfway on this new path, or would Alex have to confront the reality that the journey ahead might be solitary? "Son," his father's voice hung heavy in the air, the single word echoing around the community center, pulling everyone's attention taut as a drawn bowstring. Alex felt his heart quicken further, his breath shallow, as he waited for either a declaration that could unite them or a dismissal that would shatter his hopes. "Just wow, Leo, right?" His father's voice came out slightly softer, yet ripe with frustration. "Do you really need to interrupt now?" The way he spoke felt different, though like he was defending Alex rather than criticizing him. The shift in tone knocked the wind out of Alex's chest. Leo's smug expression faltered. "But this isn't," his father raised a hand, cutting him off. "No, Leo. This is exactly the place for it. We're talking about what really matters." The air crackled with tension as Alex absorbed his father's unexpected support. The crowd leaned in, drawn tighter into the unfolding spectacle. It was as if the entire universe had aligned in this moment, allowing an inch of space between the worlds they inhabited. Unsure how to navigate this unpredictable current, Alex seized the opening. "Dad," he said, his voice firm and steady, "what I'm trying to say, it's about more than just money or status. It's about the impact we make on people's lives. Isn't that what we should really be focused on?" His father hesitated, a flicker of something. Was it doubt, or perhaps an opening of understanding? Passed through his eyes. The shift was subtle, but Alex felt it resonate deeply. He could almost sense the weight of lives interwoven in that room, filled with uncertainty yet glimmering with potential. "I've spent my whole life believing that success was all about financial gains," his father finally confessed, his voice cracking slightly. "I've lost sight of what truly holds value, not just in business, but in humanity." Stunned silence enveloped the crowd. They were witnesses to something sacred, a moment of revelation for a man who had worn indifference like armor. And in that instant, hope surged through Alex's veins. This could be a pivotal turning point, he could feel it. "Dad, we have a chance to use our resources for good. To give back, instead of just taking," Alex urged, his voice rising with fervor. "Imagine how we could change lives." His father glanced away, taking a deep breath, wrestling with the change that Alex was demanding. And in the depths of that moment, vulnerability seeped through. "I'm afraid that change means admitting I've been wrong," he finally admitted, the sincerity of his words unfolding in the room like an unexpected dawn. Alex's heart swelled. "But isn't that what we need? To look at ourselves and realize there's more to life than our careers? More than our bank accounts? A tear welled in his father's eye, a crack in the wall he'd built for decades. He furrowed his brow, searching the crowd as if seeking validation, and for the first time, a hesitant nod from a nearby attendee ignited a spark of possibility. In that moment, Maria squeezed Alex's hand tighter, pride radiating between them. Hope shimmered in the air, it was palpable, electric. "Son," Alex's dad began again, the intensity of his voice trembling, "if we lead this change together, then maybe, just maybe I can find my way back." A round of applause erupted, breaking the tension, the crowd's energy surging through them. But just as relief washed over Alex, a familiar face appeared in the doorway, a hard shadow that promised trouble. "Seriously, what is going on here?" Leo whispered harshly, his eyes narrowing. The warmth in the room chilled as uncertainty returned. Would this breakthrough be sabotaged? Would his father's moment of courage be snuffed out in a flash? Alex felt the weight of the world on his shoulders again, but as he glanced at his father, something had shifted irrevocably. It was a change that could no longer be overlooked. The question remained, however, as they edged closer to transformation, could they navigate the opposition together, or would the fear of falling back into old patterns hold them captive? Alex's heart hammered in his chest as Leo strode further into the crowd, the tension hanging like a thick fog. Alex stole a quick glance at his father, whose brow furrowed deeper, a storm brewing in his usually stoic eyes. It felt like a pendulum swinging between hope and despair, just waiting for the wrong push to tip it. "Come on, Dad," Alex whispered, urgency threading through his voice. "Don't let him ruin this." But Leo was relentless. "What are you even talking about? This is just nonsense. You think this is going to fix everything?" His tone dripped with sarcasm, and he looked around as if seeking allies, but those gestures fell flat against the palpable energy of hope in the room. "Leo, back off," Alex shot back, frustration welling up like a pressure cooker. "This isn't your moment. It's ours. Your moment." Leo scoffed, the words slicing through the air. "You think you can just redefine success? You don't know the first thing about true ambition." Alex's breath caught. There was a fire igniting in him, one fueled by the memories of late nights spent working while his father was absent and all the warmth of family moments lost to the pursuit of wealth. "Success isn't about ambition when it's hurting the people around you." His voice rang clear. "It's about making a difference." The crowd murmured in response, a wave of understanding rippling through them. Faces softened, some nodded in agreement. Leo paused, his face twisting in disbelief. It was as if Alex's words were anatomy lessons peeling back layers of his brother's bravado. "You're just being naive. People care about results, not causes. Maybe results are just another way of counting your faceless victories," Alex shot back, feeling emboldened. "What if we're tired of counting? What if we want to really connect?" His father's gaze turned to Leo, a moment of fierce protectiveness flickering within. "Do you really value superficial wins over the lives we can impact?" Leo stepped back, caught off guard. Suddenly, the arrogance that usually filled his presence faltered. There was uncertainty now, a glimmer of recognition caught between brotherly rivalry. Around them, the crowd was almost breathless, leaning in closer. They passed hesitant glances, unsure but curious. The unity that was building was breathtaking. People were stepping out of their comfort zones, feeding the shift. "I will admit that I've been hard on you both," his father said slowly, like the slow reveal of dawn breaking through a long night. "But change doesn't just mean less money or status. It's accepting that I've failed in so many ways. I want to do better." At that moment, silence draped over the room, charged with a mixture of anticipation and vulnerability. For the first time, Alex saw not just his father, but the man he'd yearned for all along, the one willing to acknowledge his flaws. But just as Alex felt a surge of hope, Leo scoffed, his voice dripping with derision. "You really think this will make people change their minds about you? You'll always be just the money man." In that flash of a second, a chill ran through the room as the facade of warmth flickered. The air crackled, the bond of their shared moment teetering on the brink. "Enough!" Alex shouted, feeling the tremors of his own fear ripple through him. This isn't just talk anymore. This is our family's chance to be different. If you can't support it, then maybe it's time for you to evaluate what's really at stake. Leo's eyes narrowed, his instinctive snap meeting defiance that burned bright in Alex's tone. The room pulsed with a collective inhale, everyone ready to erupt, anticipating whether this would lead to a breakthrough or a disaster. Alex's heart raced. Could his father push through the noise? Could Leo reconcile, or would he plunge them deeper into a downward spiral? With a deep breath, Alex's resolve hardened. We're the ones who have to change, he declared, meeting Leo's gaze head-on. We can't let fear dictate our future. The door creaked again, this time revealing even more faces, people drawn in by the confrontation. What was an intimate struggle was quickly becoming a community affair, heavier than any of them could ever have prepared for. Could their small uprising be strong enough to turn the tide? Or would it drown in the shadows of past failures? The questions hung sharply in the air, laden with uncertainty as every eye gazed toward a fate still unwritten. A moment of deafening silence followed Alex's proclamation, the crowd swaying between uncertainty and hope. The tension thickened, wrapping around each face like a heavy shroud. Every heartbeat echoed in the stillness, a reminder that they were all participants in this fragile moment. Leo's expression flickered, confusion battling with lingering pride. You think that just because you shout some clichés, people will suddenly turn their backs on their needs? Real life isn't a fairy tale, Alex. His voice cracked, an unexpected tremor breaking through the bravado. There was desperation in his tone that drew the crowd even closer, hangering for the truth beneath the layers of animosity. Alex took a step forward, fueled by something deeper than frustration, now an urge to set the record straight. You think people don't know what's at stake? We see it every day. The suffering, the uncertainty. Did Dad's success ever make anyone truly happy? Or did it just fuel a hunger for more? His father's eyes glistened, reflecting the struggle within. You're right, he finally admitted, vulnerability spilling forth. The weight of his own past failures now laid bare. We have to change the narrative. Yet Leo shook his head vehemently, his shoulders taut. And what's that supposed to mean? Making everyone feel good while we sit on the sidelines? We built our lives on ambition. The ambition that destroyed us, Alex countered, feeling the heat rise in his veins. It was supposed to bring us together, but it drove us apart. Don't you want more than just empty validation? A murmur rippled through the crowd. Faces began to change. Those who had come to witness a clash were now engaged in a discussion that had layers of history running through it. They were not just spectators, they bore witness to the unfolding of a family narrative that felt deeply familiar. Feeling a palpable shift, Alex pressed on. We're tired of chasing dreams that lead us to loneliness. Look at these people, they want connection, not competition. He gestured around the room, urging the audience to reflect. What if we could redefine what it means to truly succeed? What if, instead of beating each other, we lifted one another? Leo's defenses seemed to crumble just slightly. The defiance softened, replaced by something almost human. But I've always known that the world is tough. You want to change it? You have to fight for it. You can't just wish it away. Fighting doesn't always mean clashing swords. Sometimes it means having the courage to embrace flaws, Alex responded, his voice steady, catching every syllable of vulnerability. Real strength is admitting when you're wrong. It's about facing your fears, and being there for those you love when it matters. The crowd now swelled with a communal yearning, their energy swirling like a storm ready to break. They felt that this was more than a family argument, it was a reflection of their own struggles, their dreams. I've failed too, Leo admitted finally, his voice lower, almost reverent. But I don't know how to change. I've always just thought winning was the way. Alex took a deep breath, feeling the tide turn. Then let us figure it out together. As brothers. As a family. We can heal. But it starts here. Right now. As the tension began to lift, the door swung open once more, allowing familiar faces from their past to slip in and join the electrifying moment. Friends, neighbors, and even those who had once been rivals now leaned into the conversation, their desire intertwining with the brothers' struggle, igniting a feeling that something great might just be rising amidst the ashes, but would Leo have the strength to truly embrace change? And would their father step far enough away from his past to truly be present in their future? The air tingled with possibility, but the shadows of doubt loomed large. The next chapter lay ahead, waiting for someone to turn the page. Would their voices be heard, or drowned out in the echoes of disappointment? The stillness hung thick as a winter fog, each eye fixed on Alex and Leo. The tension felt almost palpable, a living entity wrapped around them, fighting to hold its ground against the burgeoning light of understanding. Then, with a hesitant breath, their father stepped forward. "I know I've made mistakes," he said, voice tremulous as he scanned the crowd. "We all have. It's time for honesty, for healing." His gaze settled on both sons, the weight of years pressing down like a heavy blanket. "But change isn't easy." A ripple of murmurs coursed through the crowd as people absorbed his admission. The air felt alive with possibilities, the undercurrent of hope surging like electricity. Leo straightened, his bravado returning as a defensive shield. "And what happens when we fail again? We can't pretend that everything will be okay just because we wish it to be." Alex understood the fear behind Leo's words, that gnawing worry that failure would chase them no matter how much they fought. "We won't be alone in it this time," he replied. "Look around. We have each other. We have a community. That's what this is about, a family that's stronger together." Families often hide their struggles behind closed doors, avoiding real conversations. Alex remembered their home filled with silence, the kind of silence that swallowed joy and replaced it with uncertainty. A glance toward their mother, tears glistening in her eyes, reinforced his resolve. "Leo," Alex urged gently, "we've turned ambition into our only way of measuring success." But he paused to gather his thoughts, feeling the sincerity of his words coursing through him. What if we turned it into kindness? What if we focused on the stories around us, those of failure and redemption? Leo's face softened, uncertainty flickering in his eyes like a candle's flame about to go out. "And what if kindness leads us to more disappointment? Then we face it together," their father interjected, more powerfully than before. "Together, we can find meaning, even in our failures." The crowd nodded, a wave of new understanding spreading through their ranks. The neighbors who had once felt like strangers, the friends who had drifted away over time, were now drawn into the conversation. Faces illuminated with hope began to intersperse the doubt, as people shared their own struggles, their own stories of ambition, disillusionment, and the search for connection. A woman shared how she had lost everything in a toxic pursuit of success, only to find joy in community gardening. A man voiced his battles with addiction, and how his family had rallied to help lift him up. With each story, barriers crumbled, and the atmosphere shifted. Each share knitted the crowd closer, creating an intricate tapestry of shared experiences. "I've felt alone for so long," a voice called out from the back. It was an old neighbor, Mr. Harris. "I thought no one understood. But hearing you all, it gives me hope." And suddenly, Alex felt it, the warmth of renewed bonds igniting. This was about more than just him and Leo, it was about everyone, the collective courage to turn their pain into something meaningful. The conversation thrummed with energy, each person contributing threads of their lives, interweaving them into the fabric of this moment, strengthening their resolve to cultivate a new approach to success, one built on connection, vulnerability, and authenticity. As the session gained momentum, Alex's heart raced with possibility. He looked at Leo. Was this the turning point they both needed? Could they reshape their narrative together? But in the back of his mind resided a question that hung heavily. What if the tide of change was too strong, leading to unforeseen consequences? The restlessness in the room hinted at deeper challenges still yet to surface. Would they be strong enough to navigate the storm ahead, or would they falter under the weight of these new revelations? The air crackled with tension as Leo exchanged glances with Alex. This was just the beginning. Uncharted waters lay ahead, waiting for them to forge a new path. How would they will face the fears still lurking in the shadows? The conversation continued to swell, like a tide rising against the shore. The moment felt electric, filled with both fear and anticipation. Alex turned his focus back to the crowd, where faces were now less shadowed by doubt. He saw Mr. Harris in the front, his face creased with the weight of years yet now shining with newfound hope. But Leo's eyes held something different, a flicker of hesitation, as if he stood at the edge of a cliff, contemplating the plunge. Alex could sense his brother's struggle, the vulnerability they had both just begun to embrace was still frightening. "Let us share our dreams too," Alex proposed, a hesitant yet hopeful suggestion. "If we're going to do this together, we need to know what we each want, what we cherish." A woman from the back shifted forward. "I used to dream of opening my own cafe," she admitted, her voice soft yet steady. "But after losing my job, I thought that dream was dead. Maybe it still isn't." The crowd murmured encouragement, and Leo glanced at Alex, uncertainty playing across his face. "What if we shared our real hopes?" Alex pressed, his own emotions rising like a tide. "The things we hold on to the tightest, even if they scare us." Leo's jaw tightened. "Those dreams aren't always achieved. But if we don't speak them, we bury them." Alex wasn't sure where the words were coming from, he barely recognized the conviction in his own voice. "What do we have to lose by being honest with ourselves, with each other?" A man near the front cleared his throat. "My family thought I'd become a doctor, but I wanted to be an artist. I never pursued it, thinking it was impractical. But standing here, I feel this urge to pick up my brush again." With that, the conversation started shifting. One by one, people began to share, their voices weaving a tapestry of untold dreams. "I want to feel connected again," said an older woman, her fingers trembling. "I miss the camaraderie of shared goals." "My dream is to teach kids," remarked a young man. "I want to open a community center, but I've been too afraid to take that step." Each revelation was met with a blend of empathy and encouragement that transformed the atmosphere. Leo listened, his initial defenses slowly softening. The warmth in the room grew, wrapping around them like a shared embrace. Alex couldn't believe the sense of belonging that emerged from uncertainty. People dared to be vulnerable, and as they exchanged their fears and dreams, it felt like they were reaching across uncharted waters, building bridges where cracks once lay deep. As the weight of their shared stories settled, Leo finally spoke, his voice low but steady. "Maybe it's not about winning or losing. Maybe it's about being brave enough to go for what truly matters." A ripple of agreement flowed through the crowd, their faces alight. Alex felt a rush of warmth toward his brother, a moment of clarity blossomed between them. Yet, even as the shadows began to recede, Alex's heart still raced with anxiety over what lay ahead. Would this newfound openness hold? Would this be the foundation they needed, or merely a fleeting moment of connection before chaos struck again? As conversations flourished, the night wore on and the once familiar faces became entwined in the rawness of humanity. But lurking beneath the surface was an uneasy feeling. The winds of change were blowing, and with them came questions they weren't yet ready to face. Leo's brow furrowed, and there was still a hint of concern in his eyes. What would they encounter as they journeyed forth from this night? Would the light they found illuminate the real dark corners of their lives, or would it burn out, setting them against one another once more? Deep breaths were taken, hearts were opened, and decisions hung heavy in the air. It was the beginning of something, but the uncertainty of what lay ahead lingered, waiting to challenge them at their most vulnerable. What would they do when those unexpected storms rolled in? Would they weather the tide together, or would they once again be swept away? The atmosphere in the room still crackled with a newfound energy, yet underneath, threads of apprehension intertwined with hope. Alex took a moment to soak it all in. Faces illuminated by the dim lights glowed with authenticity and shared experience. This was a turning point, but the uncertainty persisted like a shadow lurking just out of sight. As conversations continued to flow, Leo, still captivated but cautious, leaned closer to Alex. What now? He whispered, as if speaking too loudly might shatter the moment they were building. Alex's heart raced at the question. It felt surreal to dream of what came next. Maybe we create a plan, he suggested. If everyone is willing, we could form a group. Support each other, hold each other accountable for our dreams. Leo nodded slowly, his brow furrowed in thought. What if we fail? What if it tears us apart instead? Alex knew those fears all too well. Yeah, but what if it doesn't? What if this is only the beginning? We can't let fear be our guide anymore. The boldness in his voice surprised him, even as he spoke. At that moment, the woman who had spoken about her cafe stepped forward again. I'm ready. I want to put together a community event. A market where we can sell our crafts, our home-cooked meals, and showcase our talents. We could make it a launch pad for others to share their dreams. A round of applause erupted, filling the air with enthusiasm. Encouraged, another man jumped in. I'll help. I can gather musicians. What if we had a local stage where people can perform? We could make this a real celebration of what we love. Ideas burst forth like fireworks, each suggestion igniting more passion. Leo's earlier hesitations began to fade, replaced by the flicker of inspiration. Alex caught him smiling, truly smiling, for perhaps the first time that night, but as the excitement swelled, Alex's mind raced ahead. Could they really pull this off? Would everyone follow through when the initial adrenaline wore off? Within the beautiful chaos of this moment, the thought of facing failure crept in, whispering its doubts. He tried to shake it away. Then the older woman who missed camaraderie spoke again. We should each take a vote on whose dreams we want to support, too. Maybe, match people up. It might help us get more focus. Everyone nodded, sharing glances filled with understanding and trust. In that moment, Alex recognized how many lives hung by the threads of unrequited dreams. But just as the jubilant atmosphere began to cradle them, a sudden gust of wind rustled through the open window, sending a shiver down Alex's spine. An uncertainty settled like a heavy blanket, change was in the air, a lurking challenge lingering just out of reach. As the night wore on, laughter filled the space, mingling with whispers of fear and hope. They were all in it together now, woven into a collective journey of transforming dreams into reality. But in the corners of his mind, Alex worried. What if they met resistance from the outside world? What if not everyone shared their vision? And then, something deep within him sparked a bigger question: were they truly ready to face the storms ahead? As people began to exchange ideas about logistics and support, Leo turned to Alex again, this time with a hint of determination in his eyes. We can't turn back now, can we? No, Alex replied, engaging with the seriousness of those words. This is it. An exhilarating thrill rushed through him. But even as excitement swelled, the unsettling thought lingered: what if the real journey had just begun, and the darkest challenges were still yet to come? Would their fragile bonds withstand the tests of the storms that loomed ahead? With every question left hanging in the air, a new awareness settled in their hearts, reminding them that facing fear was just the first step toward discovering who they truly were. What would happen when they faced the actual trials ahead? Would their growing unity provide the strength needed, or would they falter along the way? As dawn broke over the community center, the anticipation was palpable. The air thrummed with excitement and nervous energy, each person holding tightly to their dreams and newly forged connections. Months had passed since that first pivotal fundraiser, months of hard work and bonding. Alex, now a beacon of resolve, stood alongside Leo and their father, who felt more like a genuine partner than a domineering figure. The morning sun spilled golden light into the room, illuminating the faces of those who had joined forces. Together, they had transformed the center into a vibrant marketplace, a tapestry woven from the threads of each participant's passion and dreams. Stalls overflowed with crafts, home-cooked meals wafted enticing scents, and the sounds of laughter and music created a spirit of celebration. This was their moment, the culmination of all their hopes, their first community event. Their journey hadn't been without struggle. There had been setbacks, pervasive doubts, and moments when worn hearts wanted to retreat to comfort. Yet, here they were, standing at the threshold of something extraordinary. Alex paused to reflect on how much had changed since he first walked away from the mansion. The weight of expectations had transformed into a sense of purpose as he embraced the community. He felt at home among these people whose lives intertwined with his own. "Hey! You ready?" Maria's voice chimed brightly, pulling him from his thoughts. She stood by the entrance, her sun-kissed smile radiating warmth. "The crowd is getting bigger, and they're eager to start." "I'm ready," he replied, matching her enthusiasm with a grin. This was a new beginning. He glanced back at Leo, who was working tirelessly with the vendors to ensure everything ran smoothly. Their bond had strengthened through this venture, and they shared laughter over the smaller challenges. In moments of quiet, they would talk about dreams, fears, and everything in between. Leo had found courage in camaraderie. The hustle of the crowd grew louder as people began to filter in, each carrying stories steeped in hopes and struggles. Looking at their faces, Alex's heart swelled with emotions he couldn't fully describe: joy, pride, connection. They were more than just a community, they were family. His father stepped forward, now embodying a vulnerability that had previously felt foreign to him. "I just want to thank you all for being here. For believing in something greater," he said, his voice steady but filled with depth. "Today isn't just about dreams, it's about how we come together." Applause erupted, and Alex watched as their father navigated the crowd, engaging with the vendors, listening to their stories, exchanging thoughts on what true success meant. This was the man he had wanted to see all along, the one ready to listen, to connect, to redefine success beyond money. As the day unfolded, the energy morphed from nervous excitement to jubilant celebration. Music played, laughter filled the air, and with each interaction, people began to feel lighter. The mission had transformed from individual aspirations into collective power, a realization that they were stronger together. Among the stalls, two former rivals joined forces. An artist and a business owner collaborated on a project that blended talent and enterprise. An unexpected friendship blossomed between a retired veteran and a mother selling her homemade goods, creating plans to mentor local youth. Everywhere Alex looked, he witnessed lives intertwined in ways he never thought possible. By the time the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, the center was alive with stories and shared dreams, a blend of voices echoing throughout the evening. As the festivities came to a close, Alex stood on a small stage with Maria and Leo, their father finding a spot nearby, beaming with pride. They exchanged glances, each understanding the significance of the transformation they all had experienced. "This is just the beginning," Alex declared, holding the mic tightly. "Today proved that our dreams don't have to live in isolation. We have the power to uplift one another." The crowd erupted in cheers, hope igniting like a wildfire within their hearts. Suddenly, he saw a familiar face at the edge of the crowd: Mr. Harris, who had been hesitant to share at first. With newfound courage, he stepped forward, and his voice sliced through the excitement. "My wife and I are opening our doors for art classes this fall. We believe in sharing creative skills." The crowd cheered again, the wave of encouragement electric. One after another, people stepped forward to make commitments, small pledges that collectively promised growth and community support. They clapped, exchanged hugs, and celebrated the light that had emerged from their vulnerabilities. As the night grew darker, starlit skies twinkled above, a beautiful reminder of the possibilities that lay ahead. It was a moment crystallized in time. Together, they had created a bridge, moving from isolation to community, from expectations to acceptance. Alex glanced around, filled with gratitude. The community had become a family, hearts intertwined with a shared vision. He turned to Leo and their father. "We did it," he whispered, tears shimmering in his eyes. Leo nodded, his voice thick with emotion. "Yeah, we really did." And for the first time, they each felt a sense of belonging, not bound by wealth, but anchored in love, purpose, and the promise of brighter days to come. The journey ahead would not be without challenges, but they were no longer alone. They had each other, their community, and the unwavering belief that transformation was possible through connection. As Alex took a deep breath, he realized he was home not just in a place, but in a feeling, the warmth of intertwined lives, daring to seek something greater than themselves. The future, bathed in hope and light, lay wide open. Now, it's time for you to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories filled with transformation and inspiration. Hit that like button right now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below sharing your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. We want to hear from you. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful journey. This is the moment to show your support, so don't wait not even one more second. Join us in this inspiring movement.